Well, hello again, ladies and gents. If you're watching, it says at least somebody is. If you are, please say hi in the chat. And welcome to another short trip and another one of my live streams. What is there to say? Liverpool is the Virtual Ryanair Focus Airport this week. So we flew in to stand 6 and we're going to be flying out from stand 6. So that is where we are sat. It's a very, very short trip to Dublin. I still haven't figured out how to get the charts up to show you the route. But it's daylight, so we can have a little bit of ortho action. So I've got ortho loaded up, which is zoom level 17 for the whole of the UK and Ireland. I have downloaded ortho for the rest of Europe at zoom level 16 with zoom level 17 for 13 kilometers around ICAO airports to give it a little bit better. You can see down here that it's a little bit pixelated when you're quite close to the ground, so I'm thinking about doing zoom level 18 in the UK, VFR flying, but as soon as you get up to this sort of height, it's actually pretty good, and considering it is free, it's really good. Certainly once you get to VFR or circuit height, that looks pretty good if you ask me. So hopefully we'll get a bit of a decent view on the way in, on the way out of Liverpool and the way into Dublin. We're the only one here at the moment, and Liverpool Tower is online. So I guess that, I don't know what that is. It's not the tower. The tower's over here. So yeah, whilst the roads look a bit sketchy, I think from the ex-Europe overlays, and I think cars end up on the wrong side of the road. I don't seem to have any moving cars. Maybe I've got the world objects too low. Yeah, this is us. Welcome to our airplane. A bit of a long intro there. So I've done nothing apart from set a few of the switches, make sure the gear's down, that sort of thing. So this isn't a tutorial, but it will get you going from cold and dark. The first thing the airplane needs is some power, so we pop the battery on, pop the emergency exits on. We're not going to put the belts on because we're going to be fueling up. And the lights, the nav lights, position lights are set to steady, ready for AC power. So when AC power comes on, they go on and have AC power. So the aeroplane now has power. It's not going to alarm with a battery discharge, which some people still seem to have a problem with. So first thing we do is get the IRSs aligned, because they take a finite amount of time, and if you run up to the IRS here, see it's going to take 9 minutes for those to align. So you want to get those on relatively quick. You don't have to worry about the mic selector above, but fiddle with it if you want. Pop the yaw damper on at this point. Check the crossfeed valve, it should go bright, dim, turn it off, it goes bright while it's in motion, and then off. Fuel pumps, the APU requires at least one of these pumps on, so what we'll start with. As I said, the engine generators, the buses are off for those, then the power available on the APU, but there is on the ground. Selected it. Cabin util IFE on. Lights are set, belts, cabin not secure, ignition right for the first start. Day, cabin pressure is 0 and we're pretty much at sea level here, so you won't see any cabin altitude here. The differential pressure should be 0, so there's no difference between the inside and outside. And if we were at, say, 4,000 feet above sea level, the cabin altitude would be at 4,000 feet above sea level. Pop the hydraulic pumps on. Test the window overheats. Pump those on. Pop the packs to auto, pop the APU bleed on, and at the point we can get our OFP and have a look at lights. Now we've got a step climb on this plan, which is interesting because, and this is why I wanted to show you where actual route. That's about halfway through our route, Leldo, and I'm not convinced that it's necessary. So we'll see how we go. I don't think we're going to make a huge amount of benefit doing that climb for such a short amount of time. Almost straight into the descent. Regardless, even if you have got a step climb, you always set first one of these as your initial cruise altitude for pressurization and for the FMC. So 240 we're going to pop in here, and our arrival at Dublin is altitude of 250 feet. Lights are on, load goes off. That's the overhead done. We have an FMC warning going to deal with at the moment. All the doors are open. The airplane is loading up. 2000 set on the squawk. Just set the radio panel up here. Check the throttles. Config warning works. You could do the fire tests and everything else, but I'm not going to. Quick scan of the MCP. Got an odd altitude set to remind us that we're not cleared for a departure. Clock set, gears down, 3 green. Map set 0. Ooh. 0 on the handle, 0 indicated. Symmetry between them. Auto brake can go to RTO, light comes on and goes out. Check we've got hydraulic pressure. It's done. So let's have a look at our payload and fuel. So payload, we have 175 packs. It's another sausage fest again, I'm not going to bother deep. And we've got 3.5 tons, so let's put 2, 5. And 1, 5 aft. 17 tons, we are a little bit lighter. And so I do need to range calculate to get us the right one. So we're going to be lighter than that. 0 fuel, which can only improve burn. I'm not going to worry more about that. So we need 5.3 tons of fuel, so we need a little bit of fuel. Let's get that ordered on the way from 0. That includes an additional 10-minute reserve, so I'm not going to round up much more. Call the fuel truck, and we can check here that the fuel is flowing. So we have an off-block time of 1600, so we can get the packs on just yet. Have a listen to the ATIS.
Alpha, time 1450, runway in use 27, transition level flight level 60, surface wind 290, 8 knots, visibility 10, kilometers or more scattered 3,600 feet, broken 4,400 feet, temperature +8, dew point +4, QNH 1024, threshold, QFE 1021, acknowledge a receipt of information Alpha, and advise aircraft type on first contact.
That's the weather at Liverpool. So let's start with, I've written that down, let's start with the FMC setup. First task of the day is to check it's the correct model of aeroplane, correct engine rating. Those don't change in the sim, but in reality we are AIRAC 2003, which is valid from Feb 27th until March the 25th. Today is I think March the 18th, so our nav data is valid. We are at Echo Golf Papa, we are on stand 6. It's just for my own benefit, I like to pop that in as many times as possible so I don't go telling ATC where we are. GPS left can go into the IRS position, and because we filled that in, it cunningly pops it there for us, and it's a short hop to go India Delta Whiskey R7 Delta, and I'm not going to bother with the company route because it's a relatively short one. I mean, it's a relatively short leg. It's actually lots of writing for not that long. There's our departure. Runway is variable. Departure is variable. The first waypoint shouldn't be though, although it can be changed. But that's what we filed, so we'll pop that in. So our first is the Wallasey VOR. no other, so it goes straight to that. Lima 10 is the next airway, takes us to Penil. After that it's Lima 28 to Do 15 to Bagso, then our arrival into Dublin. Happy to activate that, don't need to cross check it. Now, zero fuel weight. As we saw, we're going to be a little bit lighter than that, 60.7, so. Of course I can fill that in now even though we are still fueling, but we've just stopped because that's at zero fuel weight. That's the basic empty aircraft and the payload with no fuel. So I think we have stopped fueling now because we've requested 5300. We've been given 2660, 2650. It gives us 5310 kilos. So we can pop the belts on, pop all the pumps on, get that fuel circulating, and we are good and ready. So QNH I will put in, which is 024. We'll have a listen to tower. We got ATIS, Liverpool Tower 12635. Manchester approach, not sure who to speak to after departure. As we get the punters on board. So, call for clearance now. Shannon should have been online, but they may be any. Dublin's offline. Everyone's offline, so do effectively what we want. Liverpool Tower, good afternoon, Ryanair 7 Delta.
Ryanair 7 Delta, Liverpool Tower, hello. I was too busy arranging to Oasis, I'll see your message.
Don't worry, Ryanair 7 Delta is a 737-800 stand 6. Information Alpha QNH 1024, request departure clearance to Dublin.
Ryanair 7 Delta, Liverpool Tower, roger. You cleared to Dublin. Wallasey, 2 tanker departure, squawk 4473.
Cleared to Dublin, Wallasey 2 Tango, squawk 4473, Ryanair 7 Delta.
Ryanair 7 Delta, readback is correct, reported ready for commercial start.
Wilco, Ryanair 7 Delta, thanks. So, we are now cleared, so we can pop that in. I've written it down, but we can go through our plan. So, plan fuel here, trip and taxi 2038. We will call it 2. Actually, we can call it 2.0 because we know we are lighter, so we're going to expect to burn a little bit less than that. Reserves 27. I'm going to call it 2.8 because it's bang on, so we'll have at least 100 kilos, which, as you can see, is give or take, 2 minutes additional warning before we really need to divert. Initial climb is 240. The cost index is 6. Always 6 with Ryanair. Like I said, 240. Top of climb wind is the one you pop in here. 245. Top of climb ISO is -1. Execute that, and then we can have a look at the performance. So, our zero fuel weight is going to be 62.1. Which is 1.4 tons less. So I think we're going to be about 66 tons for departure. So let's pop that into the calculator. 2908, I'm just checking that the weather's correct. It is 27, I reckon will be 66 tons. So anti-ice is going to be off, optimum flap, engine bleeds on, thrust optimum. Give it a calculate, see what it comes up with. And so, that is giving us a takeoff run of 2279. And having a look at the chart, 2285 is the runway length available, so we definitely need a full departure. Runway 27, full. Assumed chapter limit is 40. I'm going to give ourselves 2185. So, the calculator gave us 26k with a D rate of select temperature of 40. If it goes a full 22k, because I've given it 2185, give it to 250. Doesn't like that at all. So, just checking, estimated takeoff weight 67. Okay, looks like that's going to be it. So, surface is dry. It's going to be flap 5, 26k plus 40, which is going to give us a huge amount of room for error. Okay, bleeds on. So that's what we're going to go for. We're going to have 22k, 40, and then at 193.1, give or take. It's within 0.5. So that's our one limit done. Flap 5. So it's 66 tons already, but never mind. Trim 7. And I've reassigned a few keys, so I'm going to try and use this as a shakedown to sort my life out here. V1s, I've got 137, 139, 147. No, I've got 137. May just be because of the wind that I'm not going to put in into the computer. 139, 47. That's our takeoff popped in. There's no departure restriction here, so we'll go 1,000 for the thrust reduction, 1,500 for the acceleration, because that'll get us to cruise quicker. As we know, departure is runway 27, so Wallasey 2 Tango. And the Wallasey 2 Tango, which I'm not going to get up on the screen, is straight ahead, intercept 117 inbound, cross Wallasey at 4,000. Initial climb, nothing other than 4,000. So let me try what have I got here. There we go. Oh, that's irritating, you've got to press it. So I've set a key on the joystick, but push and hold does not work. It's better than nothing. So, Wallasey 2 Tango, intercept the radial. The radial is going to be 117. So, the runway here is 267. I can do this one as well. That one works. Interesting. And it's 297 on the course. Wallasey is 114. just check the islands here. 1175, so Wallasey 114.1. Put that on there, and you can see that's the intercept. P-days. So pretty simple departure, 147 for V2. We have been cleared, the IRSs have aligned. Pop the flight directors on. And we've still got Liverpool in the should we need it. So, minimum flat retraction, Liverpool is 81 feet above sea level. So 1081 is essentially our initial cockpit setup done. Because it's a pretty short leg, and because there's no ATC online at Dublin, I'm going to plan now for a BAGSO 1 Lima, which is what I have filed, because that gives us the best opportunity as a point merge to avoid any other traffic. Pop that in, we can hold at lap mode should we need to, depending again on the traffic. Descent wise, we can pop the forecast in. So we're going to be above 200, 150, 100. Let's pop these descent forecast winds in. 236, 69, 150 is 248, 49. Level 100 is 270 at 31. Let's have a look. Destination Dublin 1024. The transition altitude of Dublin is 5,000 feet. With 1024 gives us a transition level of flight level 60. 024. Plug that in. Can execute that. It could change, and we can change it should we need to, but that is us set up and ready. Hello Rick, good to see you. No rush. You'll certainly catch us for the approach, and maybe if you're back in 15 minutes, maybe you'll catch us just for the departure. I have to apologise, I haven't had a full look at your videos yet, but I will get round to it either today or tomorrow, and I will leave you some feedback so that you can hopefully make the most of your flights. But anyway, thanks for joining. So, we're pretty much ready to go. So the hydraulic pumps for Virtual Ryanair, hydraulic A pumps go off.
Ladies and gentlemen, you'll see the seatbelts.
I actually will pop both of them off. The engine pressure can stay on because we should be disconnecting as they're coming alive. I'll tell you what, I'll turn the engine pressure off. Switches after all. Pop them back on. So let's get the APU started. Let's start securing the aeroplane. So ground handling, all of that can disappear. And then once the APU is started, we will get the door shut, getting on our way. So it's a little bit annoying. It works for the others. I might have to report that as a bug. Because having those on the joystick is going to make hand flying a lot easier. As it was a bit of a nightmare doing the procedural into here last time. Certainly having the low speed flashing is a little irritating. Really what you do, but then in reality there is two of you. So, there is the APU on. So again, we've got the airplane is now powering itself. probably wasn't 10 kilos in there, a bit less. Anyway, because we are online, and in reality anyway, we don't know which way we're going to go. We could get given that way, probably more likely to be given over here, but we'll just connect the tug first, and then request.
Ground to cockpit, tow is driving up.
I have a feeling that when VATSIM introduce the new training, things like that will be included in it. So there'll be, I assume, a little online exam for people to do before they can get online, which will hopefully improve the quality without excluding people too much. So 4-4, 7-3 was our squawk. So we'll just wait to get hitched.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
So they're going to connect and then hitch up, but we're going to wait until we're actually lifted up and ready before we call ready to push. Although at the moment, because there's no one here, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to be a little bit cheeky. No, I'm going to wait because it might throw handling out. Anyway, there's our route. You can see that it's actually really short because that's the 80 mile, that's the 160, so Dublin's only over here. And the point that I was going to make was that there's Lelda, and that's where the step climb is meant to start, and we're going to be descending about here, so it didn't quite make sense to me, but we'll see how we get on. So that looks like we're hitched and ready to go. Liverpool Tower Ryanair 7 Delta stand 6, request push and start. Also put my teeth back in.
Ryanair 7 Delta stand number 6, push and start is approved, face east.
Push and start approved, face east, Ryanair 7 Delta. So...
Ground to cockpit, please show me where you want to go.
Facing north, so that's the way he wants us. Do.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Wait for the cabin to be secure. There is the cabin secure. It's 16:02. Brakes off.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Start the timer. And we have got 500 kilos of fuel on board. Pretty short push. As I say, no one's about. So let's get the packs off. Let's start engine number 2. Maybe the push is a little bit better when you do it that way. Little straight section first. Anyway, watching the oil pressure. Waiting for 25% into. Fuel on. Running engine with a better pushback tug going all over the place. The weather reload there, rotating. As is the operation complete?
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Brake on.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Start engine number 1. Yeah, I'm watching for the oil pressure, waiting for 25%. Here it is, fuel on. The tug disconnect.
Welcome on board Virtual Ryanair flight. May we have your attention while we point out some of the safety features on this Boeing 737-800 aircraft. Please remove headphones during this demonstration.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
So, pretty simple airport here at Liverpool. We're going to be given whatever taxi it is, but it will be probably out here and then along. And then that's our departure, which is pretty easy. So, 2 stable engines, just waiting to see the pin. There it is. Just started the flow a little bit earlier than that, but there's no point going halfway through. It's close to showing us the pin anyway. So you run through the flow first. We have seen the pin, flap 5. Just wait for the flap to set. Do we only have 2 set? Yep, so there's 5. Just a little bit difficult to see. There we go, 5 is now set. Flight control check, full forward, full aft, full left, full right, full left rudder, full right rudder. Vehicles checked before taxi checklist. Generators are both on, no lights. APU is off, powering down. Start switches both to continuous. Probe heats both on. Anti-ice not required. Not initially for the takeoff anyway, once we get to cloud with maybe an icing conditions. Air conditioning, initial cruise 240 set. And there was somebody that was saying either on the forums or on Facebook, keep forgetting to do that. Well, if you follow this checklist, air conditioning set and your cruise is set, you won't forget it. Pax auto, bleeds on, isolation valve auto, that's what keeps us alive. Flap 5, green light. Stab trim, 7 required, 7 set. Flight controls checked, recalls checked. We are now ready to taxi. We are going to be a little bit late because we pushed back a little bit late. So let's call for taxi. Ryanair 7 Delta request taxi. Hello? Anybody there? Liverpool Tower, Ryanair 7 Delta request taxi. Okay, let's have a look. Liverpool Tower, Ryanair 7 Delta radio check. Transmitting.
Yeah, I got the CPT from voice service.
Ryanair 7 Delta request taxi.
Ryanair 7 Delta taxi, holding point Alpha 1 runway 27 via uniform and Alpha.
Boarding point Alpha 1, runway 27 via Uniform Alpha, Ryanair 7 Delta, thanks. So clear taxi. Lights can all go on. Clear to the right, clear to the left. Straight ahead, brakes off. Config check. No warning. So uniform is right down the end, and left on Alpha, and then we're going to follow Alpha all the way down to Alpha 1. If we'd been given anything else, we would have asked for a full-length departure. We couldn't take Golf, we definitely couldn't take Foxtrot. And, well, I mean, we could, but we would have to then do some, do the performance takeoff, the performance checks again. So, 10 knots on the apron. This is where it could get interesting. I think is this right up here. You can see the Mr. X6 HD Airport Environment HD. You can see is really good. The payware for Dublin is good, but the ground textures and the markings are nowhere near as good as these, and they're pretty easy frames as well. So there is uniform, will be left on Alpha. It's not the longest taxi in the world. Bit of downhill. Let's just get the speed under control. See there, the textures are a little bit blocky. Zoom level 18 is pretty good on the ground, so I'm going to have a test. I should have tested it out with these, to be honest, redone this tile. Still got some ortho work to do. Which I just run on another PC and leave it running either all day or all night, downloading ortho. But at the moment, UK and Ireland at 17 takes up about 465 gig. And all of Europe at 16 with 17 around the airports is ticking up. Look at it go. What's it taking? Don't know off the top of my head. I should probably add it up. I'm sure I yesterday. 1.62, which is a fair 0.62 terabytes is a fair old whack. Let's run through that. LNAV armed, also throttle armed. I want to be ready on reaching all the way down to the end. But I think the crew have had it long enough.
Okay, the cabin is secured. Have a good flight.
Good. Knowing that they're not going to come back and tell me that it isn't. Already set that. So we're going to be taking off 2.5. 2.5 something in each tank. So GA apron on the left. I've flown to Liverpool in reality, so don't know what it's like. Probably not cheap. Probably relatively quiet at the moment. Now is a good time to be doing some private flying. Assuming that they don't ban that from happening. This is us approaching the end. Cabin secure. Checked. We're ready to go. Wasn't Alpha 1. Sorry, it wasn't Alpha 2, it was Alpha 1.
7 Delta, Alpha 1 27 for takeoff, surface wind 280 degrees at 9.
Via Alpha 1 clear, takeoff runway 27, Ryanair 7 Delta. So let's pop the strobes on, pop the landing lights on, transponder, quick check. Check the final approach, nothing seen. Seen on TCAS either. Much of the runway as we can.
Approaching 27.
Really good textures, as you can see. Cracked paint. Shebang.
On runway 27.
It's getting a little bit off, but close enough. It's going to be about 16:15 for takeoff. 2580, 2590, 40%. 267, 40%. Power, toga, time. Really hear the difference with that D rate. So a little bit of rudder to keep the airplane straight. Wind's coming from the left. No, we're coming from the right. Rudder, so neutralise the controls.
V1
Hand off the throttle.
Positive rate.
Gear up. 15 degrees. Onto the flight directors. Trim the airplane.
400.
Feed. No, we're in LNAV. Quite sure what was flickering there.
1000.
So there's 1000. There's the thrust reduction. Just let the nose creep down a little.
Runner 7 Delta, contact London, control 127.825, bye-bye.
127.825. Thanks very much for the service, Ryanair 7 Delta. So let's just get the airplane cleaned up. Two 7.825. And a good afternoon, Ryanair 7 Delta, Wallasey 2 Tango, passing flight level correction, passing altitude 2,700, climbing altitude 4,000 feet.
Ryanair 7 Delta, London, hello, scorecard end, climb now, flight level
1,000 to go.
Correction 190.
Scorecard end, climb flight level 190, Ryanair 7 Delta. Oh, that didn't want what we wanted.
Ryanair 84 Sierra Papa, contact Manchester radar 118.575. 118.575, thanks for a hold, get to know Ryanair Focus Airport. Ryanair 133, report established on the ILS. Ryanair established on ILS, the vehicle Ryanair 133. Ryanair 133.
After takeoff. Auto blake off. Flaps up. No lights. Gear up and off.
118.625.
And ident. We have cleared to a flight level. And we have got rid of the restrictions. So you can see top of climb, top of descent. Yeah. No real way that I think any other way. So halfway through the after takeoff checks. Flying cloud. Release the crew. Aeroplane is not pressurising yet, but diff is increasing. Go, shake off checks complete. It's a bit of a mess. Really need to figure out how to get that to do what the other one do. Just going to make it a lot easier. So there's Wallasey going right over the top. So we can make that off. Now airways. Do that from the joystick, which is good. And Liverpool as well.
Last station calling, that was unreadable.
So we should be able to pick up Dublin VOR from here. We are able to.
Ryanair 738. Get flight plans now.
So passing 100. Lights off.
Ryanair 738.
Airplane's accelerating.
London control.
Still not pressurising it.
You are way outside my airspace. You need Euro control 135.25. Going to Euro control 135.35. Speedbird 173, monitor Unicom 122.8. Speedbird 173, with you, going to Ismail, bye-bye, thanks for your service.
London, hello, Ryanair 8 Tango Delta with you passing 276 or 2360.
Ryanair 8 Tango Delta, London Control, roger. London Control, good afternoon, EPS 207 with you, flight level 200 for flight level 300. EPS 207, London Control, roger.
So let's just sync the radios up for a little bit later when we get to Dublin.
Speedbird 831,
Still not really got much in the way of
32.6.
cabin altitudes creeping up ever so slightly.
2132.6 was Speedbird 831 uniform, bye-bye.
Get the. I think I still need to work on the audio. It's quite difficult though, getting decent levels.
Control is Z897, requesting descent with you. Easy 897 London, hello, descent, flight level 60. Descent flight level 60 is Z897. London Center, this is Ryanair 1992, cruise level 250. Ryanair 1992, London, hello, squawk 0372.
Welcome back, Rick.
1 Bravo, arrival for Heathrow.
It's a bit of a messy departure despite it being easy. So you didn't miss much. Anyway, let's have a look.
London Center, Ryanair 1992, repeat last, please. Ryanair 1992, squawk 0372, Ovington 1 Bravo, arrival for Heathrow.
I think that lad needs a pen and paper. That's the best tip I can suggest. We send there looking it up in the FMC as we speak.
1,000 to go.
Ryanair 7 Delta, request further climb.
2 squawk 0372 for the ramp. Ryanair 7 Delta, I've got other traffic inbound in Dublin descending to 200 above you, so I'm going to keep it at 19 if that's alright.
But no problem, Ryanair 7 Delta, thanks. So, because of that, that's good to know. We can update the cruise. The airplane will then accelerate. We can set the pressurization. The airplane may actually descend. Hopefully it should just stay at 0 with no cabin increase because the diff pressure is fine. But if we hadn't done that, we wouldn't end up in the cruise, as you can see, cruise mode now.
Easy 81 November Bravo, Unicom 122.8.
He said 200 above, I think he means 2,000 above.
Easy 890, ascend a little, we're low now.
So we don't want that.
Easy 890,
Approach. ILS 28.
Roger, were you not cleared on the Jersey 1 Whiskey arrival? Roger, 1 Whiskey arrival for his Jet 897. Shamrock 562, contact Eurocontrol 13525.
And then we're just going to take off. Sorry, parking stands. There we go, so we've got the charts.
Good day.
Dublin is not online, nobody else is online, so we're going to get headed over to Unicom in a little bit. Oh, we've got 4 pumps. Aeroplane's nicely pressurised. Actually had to do anything apart from keep the air in.
And Ryanair 7 Delta, you can monitor Unicom 122.8. The traffic above you is a KLM 7, correction, Airbus 318.
Unicom 122.8, and we'll look for the traffic. Thank you very much for the service, Ryanair 7 Delta.
KLM 9037, monitor Unicom 122.8. Traffic is a Ryanair 737, flight level 190, routing into Dublin as well. Roger 122.8, copy the traffic is 937.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting that he's not showing up on TCAS. If I look outside, which I don't often do. There he is. Right there. Fun. Now he's probably going to go over the top of us. Anyway, so we shouldn't have to worry about the weather in Dublin. Pretty similar to here, there is no ATIS online. So let's see if we can get the weather from here so that watching can see it. Going to Delta Whiskey. Ah, no, now I can see him. There we go. So 280, 11 knots, 10k, few at 2000, broken at 12,70024. It's nice, nothing to worry about. Should be a relatively steady and easy approach. 4.2, really that much? I'm not sure I believe that. 0.9, okay. So let's call it 64. So if we take the long way round, I'm going to assume it's going to be flap 30. It's at 2,000 above. What is that telling us? So, at the moment, oh, 2,000, 10,000. Now he should be going well over the top of us, that's why he wasn't showing up. So, 11135 is available. 278 is set. We're looking at our landing performance, runway 28. 64 tons. Now it's interestingly giving us flap 40, which I'm not sure is the optimum. So flap 30. Water break 1, 2269. Two is 2087, 1672 in break 3. Now having a look at the charts in Dublin. And I can just about see your question in the background, Rick. I'll get to it in just 1 minute. 147, and it's going to be plus 6. 53, so we're going to take that. We're going to add 6. Knowing the rough distances at Dublin, you can see here that about 1500 meters. I'm going to give it auto brake 2 and see how we get on for Sierra 6. So that's set, the course is set. Our only issue is what this guy behind us is doing, because he isn't catching us up. I thought he would be. Anyway, the arrival into Dublin. Let's get charts up. So, we're going to be coming in here towards back, so we want to be below flight 100, so there's nobody online. Oh, now there is someone online. That's grief. No. So that was just KLM 937. So can we get an ETA at Bagso? Sure. So performance is done. Flew today into LFFP, not sure whether they began designing the plane glitched, began speeding up while the autopilot was off. Way down, okay. Well, let's see how VNav handles this. So you see it's already done the descent and the slow. And we're coming up to the top of descent. Let me just get the chart off. I'm going to imagine that it's going to get us at flight level 100 or below at Bagso, because it's not that difficult to get down to 80 there, but we'll see what the aeroplane does. So Tom Smith is the lad going over the top now. Well, maybe not. I'm just going to maintain course and speed and then get on with it. And we'll see what VNav does. This is a point merge arrival, as I'm sure I've said before. We'll see what it does. One thing you do have to make sure is that the throttles here, you do bring them back to idle before top of descent, and then the aeroplane will throttle them back. And I'm just not going to touch it, I'm going to see how it performs. Dublin traffic, Ryanair 7 Delta, leaving flight level 190, expecting Bagso flight level 100 for a Bagso 1 Lima arrival into Dublin. So, you see there, actually, I think it's flown that quite nicely. It might be a tad slow, but the aeroplane is pitched and powered back. It's retarded the throttles pretty nicely, so quite happy with that.
Dublin traffic, KLM 937, going direct back now, descending flight level 100.
How is your plane descending automatically? How is it doing it, Rick? Just because that's what we plumbed in, so we put in the Bagso 1 Lima arrival. Now I could have gone Bagso 1 X-ray, which would take us direct here, but when there's a variable amount of traffic, and anyway, even if there is ATC online, this is the preferred arrival. So as long as prior to top of descent, we're just entering clouds, so I'm going to just pop the anti-ice on. As long as prior to the top of descent you lower the MCP altitude from your cruise, then the aeroplane will get to that point. It will decelerate before that point, depending on the cost index, and the aeroplane will then do it all by itself as long as you are in LNAV, and you can see here VNav path. If I use speed into vent, that will change to VNav speed. At the moment it's prioritising path, and it's going a little bit quick despite having put the forecast winds in. You won't get a message until 10 knots over to add drag. Oh, he says like a liar, come on, tick over and give me the message. Come on, drag required. Okay, maybe it's 15 knots, I thought it was 10. Shows how much I know. So, end up in a little bit of a conflict here. At the end of the day, I think. There we go. So, there is the drag required. So it should calculate the idle path descent relatively accurately. The winds are pretty much as forecast. And so to get a little bit more drag, we can add speed brake. What I'm going to do is, because he's so close, I really think he's going to... Okay, he's starting to overtake. So let's get the speed brake out. Now what we could do is speed into vent, and then it will prioritise speed over path. We might also have to go heading select for avoiding action. I just think you could have handled this a little bit better. So I'm going to leave heading set to 270 just in case we need it. You should start seeing a KLM jet coming out on the left hand side in a moment. And you can see just adding that speed brake has helped pretty significantly. Pop that off. I'm just going to leave the anti-ice on. We don't technically need it on, but we are going to need it on in a moment. It's less than 10 degrees. Does VNav use the flaps? No. So you've still got to manage the aeroplane and the profile. It's KLM. Sorry, it's just a little distracting. We're basically in formation. He's not overtaking as much as I had hoped he would. But with the speed brake still out, VNav will prioritise the path. So if we've got enough drag, this will keep coming back. And you can see we have actually got a level segment here.
Traffic.
So let's go heading select, turn away from the traffic. And VNav will still maintain that path. You can see the green banana is telling us where we're going to end up.
Clear of conflict.
Good. So what I'm not going to do, you could program in an offset, that would also work. I'm just going to let him go round. We're going to keep the speed brake out. And the airplane should decelerate to 240 at flight level 100 anyway. And we'll go on an intercept heading. We might go just direct ANSYS in a minute. It is causing me grief. So yeah, like I said, even, right, so what it's done there is because we've got the speed brake out, the aeroplane, once it gets too slow, will then aim for an idle path descent as well. So I should have speed intervented at that
1,000 to
point.
go.
We're going to have a long level segment, so we'll bring the speed back at flight level 100. Bring it back to something like 220. So if the flight levels, does the airplane descend itself? Well, like I said, Rick, so as long as you...
1,000 to go.
Okay, good. So, as I said, as long as you set the MCP correctly and leave the aeroplane in VNav, it will do that. So as long as you set the route up correctly, it will work. So let's go direct to ANSYS. Oh no.
1,000 to go.
Descend, flight level 0. So we will fly this so that we've got appropriate spacing. Get all the lights on. So yeah, if you're cruising at, let's say, flight level 330, and you wanted to get down to Baxo at flight level 100, as long as you set the MCP to something less than your cruise altitude, the aeroplane will descend in VNav, and it will keep doing that until it gets to the MCP. So the aeroplane will respect the MCP over the path. So if I set this to flight level 90,
1,000 to go.
right, the aeroplane is now descending. The next restriction on this leg is flight level 80. That's where the aeroplane wants to go. And then the aeroplane will do it. Level change is a mode you can use. Level change is a pitch mode. Idle thrust, that'll give you the max rate of descent. You can use that quite successfully if you're doing a rapid decompressurization. But VNav will. As you can see, that level change is a pitch mode and will do it quite successfully, but VNav is designed to do it and keep you on path. Just to give you the demonstration, the aeroplane has descended. Because we're in VNav speed, not VNav path, it's prioritised maintaining speed, that's why we're too high. And the aeroplane will now stop, capture this altitude, and it won't descend anymore, because I've told it we've only been cleared to 9,000. So the aeroplane is now VNav out. If I then lower this to 80 and we want to descend, I need to press out into vent, and we go into VNav speed. Again, the aeroplane will retard the throttles, and it will start descending. Yeah, so you've got it there, Rick. It just depends on the mode. VNAV out, VNAV
Thousand to go.
speed, VNAV path. And this, like I said, is probably slightly confusing because the speed window is open in VNAV, so the airplane is prioritizing the speed, so you may not end up in the right place, but you will respect the speed. If we wanted to get it down any quicker, then we would have to think about using speed brake. What do you need to press? Well, you just leave it in VNAV. If I take away speed, we'll go back to VNAV path. The airplane will dive quite spectacularly to capture that path again because we're a few hundred feet high. And out into vent you can use to remove restrictions. So if we were cleared down to flight level at Dublin, it's going to be 3,000 at Latmo. What we can do is we can go direct, or if we were told to start descending to 3,000 at our next waypoint, out into vent will get rid of that next waypoint restriction, so it would get rid of these hard restrictions here. I think we can get rid of the hold at Latmo. And one thing I haven't done is pop the, because I've been checking, pop the fix rings in, but we can pop a 4 mile in because it's VMC, and a 10 mile fix ring in. Let's have a look at the chart, the approach chart, and just do the approach brief. So 11135 set both, available on a second. 279, it's 278 in the sim. Our glide slope check height 2.5 at Maxev. The minimums is 402. This is why we do the approach brief, otherwise we can forget. And then the missed approach straight ahead to 3000, and then right to Dublin, climbing to 5, and that's our approach. And you can see there we are, ready to go. So at this point we're going to set 3000, but you notice that that's what we've been cleared to, imagine. But nothing has happened, the airplane hasn't changed modes, we're still in VNAV speed at 220, MCP speed, because the window is open, and LNAV, so we're following this curve. What we can now do is go direct Latmo after this waypoint. Okay, after the one after, that'll do. Or we could go direct Latmo now. And the airplane is in VNAV speed. But what I'm going to do is pop it in vertical speed, bring the speed back to the flap up, and you can see the stall speed increasing there. We'll just start dialing this down until we get it about there. Now the airplane shouldn't have gone up there, so now we're in a different mode. We're in MCP speed, which will not necessarily give us an idle path descent in vertical speed. That was getting green banana sorting the profile out. Dublin traffic Ryanair 7 Delta, proceeding direct to Latmo, descending from flight level 80 down to altitude of 3,000 feet, estimate Latmo minute 46. So 3 minutes behind. We are descending to an altitude, so we can set QNH, and that has then changed that profile. You can see the speed is starting to run away, so I'm not going to be able to make that. So we've got speed brake out, and going and slowing, going down and slowing down can be quite difficult in this airplane. You see it's still creeping away, even with a headwind that we've got. So we should be clear of cloud for this next bit. So could go to something like 230 level change and see if that helps get us down. 235 with full speed brake. So Rick, if you use vertical speed as you saw there, then the aeroplane again will prioritise vertical speed over anything else. So if the MCP speed is set below where you currently are, then the throttles will be idle, but the aeroplane is in a pitch mode that is what is prioritising, and it will aim in vertical speed. The green banana will tell you where you're going at that vertical speed. So vertical speed can be a useful tool, and it can also cause a few issues. So if I set that to vertical speed there and start bringing the speed back, I've now put it into vertical speed mode. The airplane will hold that rate of descent, and at that rate of descent, yes, you can actually speed up. So that's certainly possible, and we might be a little bit hot for this. Not sure why those fixed rings are jerking about. Anyway, let's get the cabin secure. So, approach India Delta Whiskey, India Delta Whiskey. We have tuned and identified. We may be a little bit fast. Let's go 2,500 for MaxEv. We can start bringing that back to intercept the glide. Localizer alive, so let's arm Vorlock. Localizer capture. Speed brakes out all the way down. TOS can go back on as we enter that cloud. Dublin traffic, Ryanair 7 Delta. Localizer established, runway 28, 11 miles. So that's not
1,000 to go.
too badly, but we are still a little bit quick. So I'm going to have to cheat. Go. Flap has speed brake coming out the clouds, so that can go off. So we're still in vertical speed. We can probably start bringing that back to capture the glide slope at 2.5. Start bringing the speed back as well. It's looking a little bit more stable. So we have captured. I'm going to arm the glide slope at that point, because I don't want the aeroplane to completely outer quiet. It should just about capture, but it hasn't. So the aeroplane's probably going to level off. So let's go 2 at this point, match speed. Glide slope capture, and there's that awful bump that I was hoping it wouldn't do. So we haven't cleared ourselves to land yet. So missed approach is 3. Glide slope, MCP. Did the distance height check in at MaxEv, which was 7.1. So we've captured the correct glide slope. Go flap 5, match speed at this point. Airplane should just about slow down. Well, Rick, I have a PPL and currently doing an IMC rating.
Dublin traffic at Ryanair 7 Delta, runway 28 breaking.
So I've got quite a bit of flying experience, and there's quite a lot of information out there in the real world and on YouTube that you can grab hold of. You need a little bit of theoretical knowledge. Go gear down 15 at 4 miles, match speed. So there's quite a bit you can pick up, but you do need a bit of background. The background certainly helps. Okay. So start switch is continuous, cabin secure, water brake set, correction, speed brake armed, water brake 2 set armed, gear down, plane's configured. Just holding on the landing flap. So there's 1,000 feet. It's VMC, we only need to be stable at 500.
1,000.
So flap 30. Dublin traffic, Ryanair 7 Delta. Final runway 28, 2 miles. Let the aeroplane settle itself down.
Approaching 28.
Just match with the throttle. disconnect on the autopilot. There was a bit of a pitch down there. So let's just arrest that rate of descent. 500 continue.
400. 300.
So a bit high on the rate of descent.
Approaching minimums. 200. Minimums.
Continue.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Oh, that was a bit firm. Oh, did we break something? Be embarrassing, wouldn't it? That was really firm. So, manual braking, we will make that exit.
80 knots.
Versus to idle. Something feels wrong. Dublin traffic, Ryanair 7 Delta vacated. So we have slowed the aeroplane down. If I've broken anything, it'd be quite embarrassing. So just make sure speed brake is up. And we're taxiing out fine. There's dodgy noises, maybe we aren't taxiing fine. But don't look broken, so everyone's alive. I'll call that a win. Set that to an odd number. Just tidy everything up. Flaps can go up. And systems look alright. So there we are, short flight complete. So 441 feet per minute, okay. I really have no idea what went so wrong there. Oh, I tell you what might have gone wrong. Joystick on its mount seems to have moved a little bit, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to blame that. I'll have to watch that again, relive my shame. The Zibo landing rate says, okay. Didn't feel that good. Anyway, we will taxi to one of the stands. Take, I think, the first one. Whiskey 2, Mike 1. Park up somewhere over there. I'll put the APU on. So we can get an engine shut down sharpish. So it's not to left. So it looks like there's a lot of company traffic over there. So in that case, we'll take the first left, so we don't have to do as much manoeuvre. Sorry, second left, so we can go straight over link 4. Bit quick, 25 knots. So you can see here the payware, the actual scenery is really good out here, but the markings look a little bit fake and blocky. The other ones that come default are actually really good. So it's, I don't know, I might try and hit this, but I have a feeling this is all baked in. So I'd like to keep all of the stuff. Ryanair 7 Delta crossing 1634, taxiing link 4 to Pier 1 stands. So would like to keep all the buildings because they are really good, but only does the taxiways need renumbering, but not sure they're as good as what you get with the default markings. Anyway, start to slow the aeroplane down as we come in. APU's on, so we can pop that on bus. It's looking a little bit crowded, so actually let's go left this way. So yeah, I tend to try and follow the VATSIM traffic, Rick. I mean, I could go anywhere. I'm starting to download Ortho for the US because I think it would be fun to do some trips in the USA. So let's just go on line 1. Let's go 122. Yeah, I think it would be fun to fly other places, but because I just fly for Virtual Ryanair at the moment, there's mostly the Europe trips, and anyway, I like doing the short sectors. I don't really want to sit around for 4 hours. You know, 3 hours in the cruise going down to Tenerife or any of those long trips. So yeah, that's what I aim for. Anyway, both gens are off, so let's shut down engine number 1. A bit more power on 2 as we come onto stand. Turn off lights, can go off. Tell everyone's at home. This place is looking busy. But I do prefer to have the VATSIM traffic, so later on we'll be going into Gatwick again from Dublin because it's fun. And I think the controllers on VATSIM do a really, really good job, and I like to support them. So at some point I think I would like to, like I say, get into the US, give their controllers a go. Get on stand. So stop. Brakes on. Engines off. Transponder goes on to standby. Set 2000. Low 20% in 1. Oh look, I managed to even do all of the checks correctly. And that is us on stand less than an hour after leaving Liverpool. So, welcome to Dublin, where it's a pretty busy day. Shame there's no controllers on. Let's get the chocks in, get the doors open, let the punters do their thing. Already done that, the APU can now go off. Get the stairs out and then get ground handling. Just so it gives us something to look at as we are outside. I should probably do a replay of that, but I don't really want to. It was quite embarrassing. I'm just going to pop down the fuel. So we've got 1800, 1810 used. Don't tell Greta 0.84, 0.86 tons of fuel. It's us, 3-star landing. Yeah, I think you're right there, Rick. It is more fun to fly an ATC sometimes. It can actually make it easier.
1, 2, 3, pushing back, facing west.
Sometimes it can be easier because you've got someone telling you what to do rather than having to think about it and do it yourself.
Ryanair 5775 established on the localizer for runway 28 at 8 DME.
But yeah, there is an extra dimension. When I used to teach people to fly, there was one day we got people just walking around with a chalk mark of a runway and a circuit around it, walking around, giving them a radio, telling them to walk, something that you've done for many, many years, and talk at the same time. And they would talk, spend so much time thinking about it, they would stop walking. So it is a skill that one has to practice. It's not impossible, but it is challenging. So CAP 413 is something you can use. You just get the link for it. which is the UK radio telephony manual. Copy the link address, there we go, I'll pop that in here. That gives you an idea, and if you want to do a radio exam in the UK, that's what you need to use and to follow if you want to do any real flying, and you can use it on VATSIM. You can pick up a lot of bad habits from VATSIM, but equally it's good for keeping your mind sharp. So have a look at that. I hope it helps. It might not be applicable to the Netherlands, but it should be relatively similar. It's pretty harmonised within the EU. Anyway, this is me done. I am going to fly it again. I'm not sure what times I've put in, but we're going to fly to Gatwick after I think I've maybe had some food and sorted myself out. So I hope that's helped. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any questions, please leave a comment, leave a message, send a message. Please subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you again later. If not, I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I can't really say much more than that. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and bye bye for now.